DJ PK, and happy to welcome back Utah State men's basketball coach Jerrod Calhoun to the show. Coach, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Football coaches are always talking about start times. How do basketball coaches feel about 11 a.m. start times? Is that okay? You just want to get up and get after it and figure these guys all did it when they were 10 anyway. What the heck?
Yeah, I like it. I think it gives you more time to start watching tape on your next opponent, and I think it's good.
Also, I'm thinking, how about for recruiting's sake? I mean, that's a game that's going to be on regular television in the morning, and so it's a start time where guys can really see it. What do you think it just does for the visibility of the program?
Well, obviously, being on CBS, two great programs. I think anytime you can be on national TV, I think it's great for your brand. Certainly our brand right now, momentum that we have is really, really good, so we want to just keep building on that.
And when we say recruiting, of course, we're all old enough to remember when that meant high school kids watching you, and I suppose they can. But maybe they're kids who are playing games at 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, who knows where in the country, or sitting in a hotel room who might see it, who might be in the transfer portal and have never seen the spectrum before and don't know what that's about. So does it work in the new world order?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. But we are one of the few programs in the country that still take high school kids. Had 5 in last year's recruiting class, and have a couple guys signed. So yeah, I mean we're a little bit old school here in Logan, where we still like the high school player.
In the 90s, I was a beat writer for the Salt Lake Tribune, and my assignment, the team that I covered, was the University of Utah. And you're old enough to remember how good those teams were. So, I went to the NCAA tournaments and the Final Four and all that. And Majerus taught me a lot of basketball. And he used to talk about how basketball is a game of mistakes. And I'm watching that game against Colorado State a week ago, right? It was last Friday night, if I remember. And I'm just thinking, you guys are down, I think, by 13. And then down the stretch, you made all the plays, and it seemed like Colorado State was making one mistake after another. How important is that to just make sure that you're eliminating or at least limiting the mistakes? Because I thought they had a chance to beat you, but they just made a bunch of wrong plays, and you guys are making on the other end the right plays.
Yeah, I mean, basketball is so fast. There's so many plays. So it's, where are your eyes? What are you looking at? What are you, how are you training your players' eyes? What kind of reads are you making offensively and defensively? What kind of coverages are you seeing? It's just really making the right play over and over and over. So you could look at it as making the wrong mistakes or the right. We talk with our guys about making the right decision, having a positive mindset, and let's make the right play, right? Go from good to great on offense. And then defensively, you got to be disruptive and try to take away the other team's strengths. So, yeah, I mean, that game was just a game of runs. Basketball sometimes is like that. But I was really, really proud of our character of our team. We had been coming off 2 straight losses. You're on the road, you're down 13. Your true character came out, right? We over me, the team mentality, something that we talk about every day, really kicked in. And that was a big win for us. It's a tough place to play. I don't care what the record is, sold-out crowd, whatever it was, close to sold out. It's been a few years since we won there. So those can be big momentum changers, and hopefully we can just continue to build on that. But we know what awaits us tomorrow at 11 a.m., and then we know what awaits us midweek with New Mexico, and we know Wyoming is going to be ready to go on the following Saturday. So none of these games are easy. Sports are not easy. It's a very difficult business right now.
Templeton's in his 3rd year, and I am very intrigued by him. In a sport where size is so important, and I don't think a coach ever has as much size as they would prefer. And I watched when you guys were in trouble in the second half of Colorado State. The last 10 minutes of the game, the guy made a lot of plays. And he ran the floor. You're so much better out in transition, which is true of a lot of teams, but I think it's especially true with you guys. And he was outrunning the other big men. He came up with a steal on a 40-foot pass that was in the air too long. And then one time he had the ball, and he actually had the good sense, speaking of Rick Majerus, time and score, I'm going to pull it out. I was sure he was going to fly in for some wild attempt and a charge when he crossed midcourt. But by the time he got to the 3-point line, he's like, no, that's not a good idea. Let's pull this out. And maybe he heard you. Maybe you were yelling. You weren't that far away. He was at that end of the court and on that side of the court. Can he sustain that, or was that his best game, and now I want to hold him to an unrealistic standard? Because, man, if he runs the floor, it seems like it's a different team.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of guys have big-time performances. That certainly was one of the bigger ones in a very, very tough environment. The block shot and also the defensive last possession of the game, I thought was the biggest key to that victory. Stayed disciplined, played really, really good. But, yeah, I mean, he shows signs. His is all about his daily habits. What's he going to do daily? Is he going to bring it every day in practice? That's really everybody's development. How much do you love the game and how much are you willing to sacrifice and work every day, whether it's with your body, whether it's with the assistant coach, whether it's with, making decisions. All of those things will come into play for KT. But he's a kid that's been in the program now 3 years. He knows what winning looks like. So I think his future is really, really bright, and hopefully that's something he builds on. But, he's been a little bit up and down throughout, this season. But yeah. I thought that was one of his best performances of the year.
We've been watching San Jose State basketball for a long time. As I say, I used to cover them when I was a beat writer. And Fisher got it going and turns it over to Dutcher, who those two guys are basically the same guy. They were together for so long. You look at San Diego State, they may not have statistically overwhelming numbers, as particularly on the offensive end, and guys averaging 18, 20 points or what have you. But the thing that I think has been consistent for a good long time now is their ability to guard. And this year is really no exception, 39% holding teams, and that is obviously something that any coach would want. Just explore what defensively they do well, because it's been a staple of their program for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, number one, they guard the ball, right? The best defenses attack the ball, guard the ball, stay out of rotations. They're very, very physical on the ball. They're going to chuck you. They're going to hit you off ball. They're going to make it very, very hard to get catches. They're very disruptive. And then on their front line, they're massive. They got a clear identity. I think Brian Dutcher will be in the Hall of Fame. He's played for a national championship and no Final Four. His resume speaks for itself. He's a big-time leader, big-time coach. They've got an unbelievable program. So it's going to be an incredible challenge, but so do we, right? We've got an unbelievable environment. We've got a really, really good team. And, we got to be ready to go when the ball tips off at about 11:02 or whatever it is. For 40 minutes, we know it's going to be very, very challenging to try to score the basketball, but we got to do the same thing to them.
I have been told, I didn't hear it myself, but I've been told that you have talked publicly on the air quite bluntly about the going rate for players, what the essentially the pay scale is, even though we're calling it NIL. Is it really $300 for a big man who can play really well in the Mountain West?
But it's not $300.
I mean, 300,000. Sorry, 300,000. It's not $300. I'll buy myself an NCAA team right now.
That was 1948.
Yeah, I'll sign up for that right now. Well, that was this. Yeah, that was this past year. It's going to be a heck of a lot more than that. It's going to be between the $700 and $1 million range for a starting big. Prices have gone up. I mean, that's what the Power Four. That's what a lot of the schools here locally and. They set the market. When the big boys start spending like that, it trickles down to the mid plus guys. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Power Fours have pretty much claimed the market. I've talked to a ton of Power Four head coaches. These prices are going nowhere. So, yeah, it's going to be very expensive to retain and continue to put a college basketball team out that's going to make an NCAA tournament.
That's part of the deal that they announced this week with the initiative combined with the other ones that they have as far as all the fundraising. I would assume that's the primary point, is to be able to afford to be competitive in the two most prominent sports, which are football and men's basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we can maintain success in all sports. I think, Utah State's at a really, really, unique time. We've got new leadership, new president, new AD. The exciting thing is, I think we've got great momentum. If you look at all the sports teams, we've had a lot of success. So now with new leadership comes new ideas. You do it together, the sky's the limit.
How big a challenge is it going to be moving to the Pac-12? Do you have a good feel for where that league is going to be in the pecking order?
Well, obviously Gonzaga will be in a league of its own. It doesn't have football. Storied program, Hall of Fame coach. They'll be in a league of their own, but I think us, San Diego State, Boise, Colorado State, I think our leadership needs to continue to do it together, right? We all decided to go to a league together. They need to be collaborative about what they're spending and really what each team is going to need to be competitive. And the coaches really don't set the market. The coaches don't really decide the rev share number. The coaches just kind of deal with what they have. And then outside of that, we got to go raise money. That's pretty much what we did for 2 years. The university has not shared any revenue with our student athletes. This has been donor driven. We would not be able to do this without the likes of Jim Lobb and many, many others. And it's a big reason I jumped on board. I wanted to show my commitment, but the reality of it is we needed money. So this year, moving forward with the university stepping in and sharing revenue with the student athletes, I'm excited to see the plan. Don't know the number. I think people ask that a lot. I have no idea. But we're going to try to start retaining our players now, and we want to build on the momentum that we have.
How much personally do you have to spend time fundraising?
Every day. Yeah, it's pretty much, if you're not thinking about and following up and calling people, you're doing your job. The money is as important as the recruiting. The money is the recruiting, right? You're building a professional team. You got to have great relationships and contacts and style of play and all that stuff sounds, it's really important. But the reality of it is the number one thing they ask as soon as you make a call when the portal opens, or now high school kids is, what's your NIL? What kind of money are you making through the revenue sharing? So if you don't have money, it's very, very difficult to maintain and to win at a high level.
When the money is tight, is the market well enough known that hey, this is a number I have to do to match, and now if the money's even, now I can win on these other points? Or do you have to know you're outbidding people?
Yeah, we don't get into that. We're not like some of the other schools. We're not in that. We can't do that, right? So we have to really evaluate. We have to really study guys, and we get a ton of value out of our players, right? Like we're not in the top three in our league the last 2 years, and I think we've won plenty of games for not having the most money. So we want to out-culture you, we want to out-team you, we want to out-scheme you, but more importantly, we want to just really culture you. We want to make sure that it's a we over me mentality. We have a clear system at every position. There's still some purity, to our roster and to what we're trying to do here. But certainly we do have to pay players. There's no doubt about it, but we don't have the means to outbid anybody.
How about like community and fan support? Because obviously Logan and Utah State is doing that at an extremely high level. Where does that factor in?
It's been incredible. I think that's what makes the place great. Our fans are starting to understand the real reality of college basketball and college sports. It takes money to maintain and to be a successful program, right? So we've had so many people step up over, really since last March, when we really got the message out that, hey, this is where college athletics is at. This is where the university is at right now. We're not receiving any help from the university. This was at the end of last year. So, we weren't ready for the revenue sharing, quite honestly, last year. So now moving forward, I'm excited to see where that can go. But you're always going to need your donors' support. You're going to need your alums. You're going to need your different businesses. And, we've done so many events and met so many people that have really went out of their way to help not just my program, but all of our programs here. And it's really meant a ton to me, and it's been awesome to see.
Jerrod Calhoun, Utah State men's basketball coach, joining us. One thing over the years, I think we found coaches can be pretty secretive. Nobody wants anybody to know anything. But in this era, giving people access to the program is one way to raise money. The more access they get, and access can look, it could be 100 different things. How comfortable are you giving people access to the program, knowing that makes them more likely to give, and if they're already giving, that makes them more likely to give more?
Yeah, I think it's all about connection, right? It's all about relationships. So we have a ton of people that, come to practice. We invite people to speak to our team. We have guest speakers to our team. There's a lot of things we do to build our culture. But yes, I think now more than ever, people want to feel connection and experience. There's no better experience, in my opinion, in college basketball than coming to the Spectrum. The most organized group, the most passionate group on our campus is the Herd, right? It's been passed down from generation to generation. They're camping out right now. They've been out there since last night. It's just a magical atmosphere, right? And they help create that. So we got to continue to do that.
Well, Coach, big game with the Aztecs. We're looking forward to seeing it, but it's also just one more on the march to March. So good luck out there, and we'll be watching.
Yeah, guys, appreciate you for having me. Go Aggies. Jerrod
Calhoun, Utah State men's basketball coach. Always a good interview. $700,000 to $1 million. The Power Four is setting the bar. Doesn't sound like he'll be getting anybody who can earn in that neighborhood, but it lets you know where everybody else stacks up behind.
Recruiting is money.
Yeah.
That's a chilling quote. In some ways, it's a shame, but it's the reality.
Strikes you as 100% true, though, doesn't it?
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
I think it's always been for the big boys.
Yes.
But now,
going back
for everybody.
Going back at least 50 years, but realistically 60 or 70 now.
Yeah. And so I appreciate that it's public rather than these shady deals and all that stuff. But it's just, it eliminates or reduces the find and develop aspect of it.
But that's one reason to go in on high school athletes. There are better players available now as some of the Power Four programs are looking more and more at transfers.
Sure, but
they're less expensive.
Those high school players are only potentially there for one season.
You've got to be able to hold on to them, right? You're still going to need the money.
And if he finds somebody, that diamond, and develops them, does that player who had a great time at your institution has no problem with it, but is sitting over here being offered all this, and you simply can't afford that? That's the problem.
What about the next Sam Merrill, right? Merrill was a great college player. In this era, can't imagine how many phone calls he would have gotten as he went through his time at Utah State. I can't imagine how many schools / agents / third parties would have been reaching out to him. He's in the NBA now, shooting 45% from three, and he's playing and shooting a lot. I just looked it up. He's like taking 7 a game.
He's a hometown kid. You got to hope that mattered, and his wife is up there, and maybe that can swim. So maybe that's not the best example. It's just somebody who just comes here, is recruited by whatever institute, wherever he came from, but then he blows up, and Kansas or whomever, just to name them, just offers him double. What do you expect the kid to do? And
it wouldn't be limited to a Big 12. It'd be the whole country going after somebody like that.
Big Ten money on the West Coast.
DJ and PK, we'll take a break. When we come back, Pablo Mastroeni, RSL head coach, joins us next from Portugal. The signings lining up. Some of them you can probably talk about. Don't know if you can talk about all of them. We will talk with him next and find out what he thinks of some of these new guys. Stay with us.